what I want to do now is I want to take us through this coming year in terms of what our beginnings look like as we journey together through this year. And so I just want to share with you something that all of the past leaders here have gone through, and there's many of you that have been past leaders, and that is that there are many, many opportunities to learn about Rotary. And there's district meetings, there's area meetings, there's youth exchange meetings, there's all kinds of meetings that go on throughout the year. In fact, probably as many as maybe 8 to 10 meetings that are really powerful for us to be able to go to and to learn. And actually one of the initiatives that I want to do is to get more and more people involved going to these meetings so we can all learn. But what I've discovered through that period of time is this journey of learning about Rotary. And so I just want to share a little bit with you about what the international initiatives are, the district initiatives are, and then what the vision for our club is. And what I've discovered is that there's a lot of initiatives that are to some extent thrust upon us that are, at the international level, hopeful that we will partake in and participate in. And each year, the president, international president, has a theme, and ours is making a difference. And then also initiatives that they want accomplished. And there's something called a presidential citation, which I think we have won a few different times, which is achieving 10 out of these, list of probably 25 choices. The president or the board picks 10 things that we want to accomplish, and so I'll share with you what those are. And then the district has goals, and the district says, well, we'd like to do this, and we'd like to do that, and we'd like to do that. So then the district has goals for us as well. And so what I've discovered as I've gone through this is that, and one of the things that Rotary is now telling us is that each club should really create who they are. And we don't really have to follow these really strict guidelines anymore. I mean, there's crazily creative ways to bring in new members. There's clubs that only meet twice a month. There's clubs that maybe even meet online. There's all kinds of different ways for clubs to engage. And so what I did was take the guidance from the international, take the guidance from 5950, and kind of create what our year looks like. So I'll share with you the things that that we picked from the international president's goals. And that is, these are no surprise. You're used to all of this, right? So it's a net gain of membership. We ended the year at 77. So they would expect our size group to grow by 1 member. They'd also like, quite frankly, if we made that member a female and under 40, we'd have accomplished all 3 of those top 3 things. So look out, we might, you might have a target on your back. And the reason for that is because of when you look at the population at large, particularly in Minnesota, we're 51% female, and I don't know what percentage is under 40, but probably a lot higher percentage than what's represented in this room. So the idea is that we would be more representative of our communities. I also picked this one to engage members. 50% of members involved in activities outside of regular club meetings. And you can look at this one and say, quite frankly, I must tell you that the reason I picked these 10 is that we can already check off all 10 of these. Yeah. So you got to love my form of leadership. Sponsor an international grant. I'm like, wow, I think we could do that. Do one environmental project, and Terry is going to lead us on that. That is an initiative of Ian Raisley, who wants to plant 1 tree for every Rotarian across the world, and there's 1.2 members, 1.2 million members, and so our responsibility is to plant, we're going to plant 80 trees, and we're going to, under Terry's guidance, so we'll hear more about that as we go throughout the year. To collaborate with a government or corporate organization, you're going to see how like that flows right into what we do. Because did you hear when you heard about Strive that we collaborate with the college? So these are things that we're already doing, and I think it's time that we kind of recognize that we are a leading club. We're already doing a lot of the things that other clubs are aspiring to be. Host an international exchange student. I think we got that one covered. Minimum donation to Rotary Foundation of $100 per member. This club averages over $365, so I thought, well, we can check that one off. Get media coverage of a fundraising event. I'm like, wow, we could check that one off too, because assuming that we do it this coming year for the Cheers for Charity, we had a tremendous amount of media coverage. And so what I'm not being glib, I am being a little glib, but the point of this is to see what the goals are of Rotary International and how much this club is already intuitively doing, which really makes us a model club, and just to a large extent to continue doing what we're doing. And then regularly update your website. I'm like, oh, okay, we could probably aspire to do that as well. So this is part of the international initiatives. Mahendra?
Yeah, if you make her member, then you can check them off.
Oh, we could check them all off, right? Yeah. Well, that's on the international level, but I will tell you that that now there's more. The District 5950 has goals for us as well. And their initiative, again, is the under 40 and the female membership. And that was very specific that the population of Minnesota is 51% female, so that we should aspire for that. And you're going to see when I look at our goals about this aspect. And again, work toward growth of under age 40 members. And that's important because that's the continuity of our club. I mean, we've got to continue to bring in young people so that we have a vibrant club that continues. Contribute to $1,500 to Polio Plus, again. Report hours of services and dollars donated. So what the district and also the international wants is that we can capture not only how much money that we raise and give to the community, but also how many hours that we donate to the community. And that will begin to help us tell this Rotary story about how phenomenal this organization is and how phenomenal it is globally.
Is that just based on doing something that's Rotary?
Right, it's Rotary focused. So it's not, if we were to add what all of us do, personally, it would even be more tremendous, but this is Rotary initiatives. And then they talked about doing club visioning so that we have a strong vision of where our club is going. So these were the initiatives given to us by the district. Then I looked and I said, what if we just continue doing what we're doing? Because this club is pretty spectacular. So if we continue doing what we're doing, and I, to tell you the truth, anticipate that we are in fact going to continue doing what we're doing. So we have weekly meetings, we do Strive, we do Sunshine, we have a tremendous newsletter, we have support of international projects, we are hosting exchange students, we read to children, we have a foundation that gives 100% of our members give, and we average $365. We do Loaves and Fishes, we do Meals on Wheels, we have new member mentorship. We do bell ringers, we do Pack to School, we do hats and mittens, we do FAFSA, we do financial supporting of local charities, and we provide Strive scholarships. So I think, in continuing all of these things, I have heard that it's hard to break Rotary. that just, your year of leadership, I've had a bunch of you tell me that you probably can't screw it up too much. And so, when I look at this, I say, gee, if we just keep doing what we're doing, it's going to be a pretty spectacular year. So I'd like us all to give each other a hand in terms of what we're already doing.
You have a lot of difficulty ahead.
I know. I just have to show up, right, Mahendra? So, yeah. So what did I pick for us in terms of very specific goals? And so I didn't think that growing our club by one member was very inspirational. And because when I look at who we are and what we do, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like the best kept secret in Bloomington, Minnesota. And we need to be attracting people to our organization and building it. And quite frankly, if we do the kind of things that we need to do in terms of media and getting out in the community, we should quite literally attract members. I love the two stories that I heard from our two visitors today, is that they've heard about us over the years. And, but they shouldn't have to seek us out. We should be talking about who we are and what we do and attracting members and bringing them in. Now, what you're going to see here is not a focus on women and not a focus on under 40. And that's very personal to me. Not that I don't want more women. Are you kidding me? I love women leaders. And we have some pretty phenomenal female leaders here. And under 40, I think it's critical as well. But I don't want us to focus on those two things to the exclusion of finding the right kind of person we want to be a member of our organization. So I just chose that if it happens and we naturally attract women and people under 40, then we will be able to wave the flag of the International and the 5950. But for us, I think it's just attracting the right kind of people to our organization. That's and hopefully some of them will be women and people under the age of 40. But I did not specifically indicate that because I didn't want us to do that to the exclusion of bringing in the people that are living the lives of Rotary that just don't know it, and we'll make them part of our club. So the goal is 80, and we are right now at 77, and there's a couple people that haven't been very active members, so we may end up at 75 here in a month or so. And then throughout the year, there's always some attrition of people leaving. They change jobs, they leave the area. So we know that we probably have to get 10 to 12 members, new members to get to this goal. So that's a big goal, to tell you the truth. But I'm excited about that. Did anyone have a comment? I thought your hand's going up, Karen.
I was in another organization. It seems to me we were given the task or the opportunity to each person bring a new member or attempt to. And that is not so unmanageable for the whole group. We all can think of one person.
Right, yeah. Oh, Kim, all right, yeah. Well, and I don't even think we ask people how old they are, to tell you the truth. I'm not even sure that's terribly proper to do. So, yeah. I mean, you all look like you're under 40 to me, so which includes myself. Yes, Karen, that's a great idea. And I know, Jeff, you kind of tried that mantra with us: bring a member, or bring someone to visit our club. And I would concur that we continue with that, but I know it's got to be more than that. We need a plan to reach out. And so I'm challenging our membership chair and membership committee to create a plan to achieve this. Visioning. So we did a strategic plan, and the strategic plan actually was a 3-year, ends the end of this year, I believe. And there is a difference between a strategic plan and a visioning session, at least the ones that the Rotary does for us. So on July 30th, our meeting is going to be the speaker of Rotary one of the people that does this visioning, to come and lay the groundwork for what that would look like for us. And then we'll create a group of people that wants to go forward and participate in the visioning. So that will come. But I'll tell you why I really bought into this. So one of these myriad of meetings I went to, I found myself in a room with a group of other president-elects, and we had a sheet in front of us that had something for us to fill out. And there was a series of about 8 questions. And one of the questions was, our club is known for. My community would say my club is. We appeal to young professionals because. And I had that form, and I'm not afraid to pick up a pen and start scribbling notes on a piece of paper. But to tell you the truth, I couldn't answer these questions. I mean, I love our club. I think our club is a lot of things. We already looked at that. But I don't know these answers. And I'd kind of like to have these answers. And I think that's what the visioning process will help us do. Who are we? What are we known for? What do we want to be known for? You know, why would we be appealing to younger folks to attract them to us? So that's what I'm hoping that we'll gain out of this visioning process, is really just a clearer picture that all of us have about what this club is, so that when we're out talking to people and inviting people to the meetings, we know what to say, because we know the answer to these questions. So I was kind of astounded, because I love this club, and Rotary is like one of my favorite things. And I was shocked that I couldn't answer these questions. So yeah, thank you. So that's why I am, yeah. So, but I will be able, Brian, in probably 2 months, I'm going to be able to answer these questions, and that's my goal. So, no, wait, Brian is yet to come, and that is in this next one, fellowship and fun. So one of the things that I've also discovered in all of the research and studying and attending meetings, and already Pete Smith says, I should get a separate email for Rotary, because I'm getting, because he's the speaker chair, and he's already getting inundated. And I mean, and Jeff, you told me this, it's like, holy moly, Rocky, if not even an hour goes by without a Rotary email. And so there are a lot of things to do, but one of the things was a survey that had been done by 5950, and it interviewed, and there was quite a few people from this club that answered, and as well as clubs all over our district. And, you know, why did you join Rotary? Why are you in Rotary? And, you know, one of the reasons people join was for business reasons, networking with other professionals. And I don't think we should deny that that's critical. I mean, obviously that's a critical thing, because that's one of the topmost reasons that people join. But why do you stay? And it's because of the fellowship. And so that's a big focus of what I want to do this year, is to create this fellowship and fun, and outside of this hour. So we have a couple people on a committee to make sure that we have fellowship and fun. And I think we're gonna, we'll probably be able to check that one off the list. Get closer to the community. This is part of when we looked at the overarching reasons why we did Cheers for Charity. One of the goals of Cheers for Charity was to create a community event. And again, to create this awareness. What is Rotary? Who is Rotary? And unless you get out in the community and wave the flag and say, hey, we're fun, we do events, and we're doing this event so we can give to charity. I mean, it tells the Rotary story, and it allows us to be in front of the community. And it also allows us to generate income for our club that is outside of each one of our personal pocketbooks. So that's, we're going to continue to try and create ways to get closer to the community. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to plant 1 tree for every member, so we'll be doing that. We're going to do not to say that what we do with the fundraising, because I said this in the board and everybody was a little like, you know, gee, this is what we do. We, you know, pass this basket around, everybody puts $2 in, and nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but many new people certainly don't even know what it's for and why we do it and so forth. So, and by the way, it goes to fund our exchange program, so it's certainly a worthwhile. We raise about $750 a year, which is pretty painless, right? But why not make it more fun? So we're going to do something very similar to it, weekly, same thing, but we're going to have a little bit more fun with it. And that'll be coming in weeks to come forward. Then also we're going to, this is a stretch goal for fundraising, because those of you that were in charge of the Harold Larson party, how much money did we use to raise? About 35, or even I've heard 40,000. So you know what? We're not raising that yet. But why not create that as a stretch goal for us to raise through Cheers for Charity? And now, I know that you'll be wanting to cheer this on, but the Daymakers is our sister club here in Bloomington. They officially gave up their charter. I don't know if you know that, but and they had a very successful fundraiser, which was selling poinsettias. And so Deb Belfry is joining our club, and I'm going to ask Deb to help us continue that. And she said with only 7 members, they netted $4,000. And so I've got to believe that we'll be able to sustain and grow that. And, and I'm sorry to tell you that, yep, we're going to ask you to sell poinsettias. So, but there'll be ways to do it that I think will be, I've already talked, like Jim says, how many do you buy? 20 or 30. Chuck I already talked to, he says, you know how many poinsettias I buy at our hotel? Sure, I'd buy them from Rotary. And then, Chuck's like, why don't we go to the hotel association here in Bloomington? And there's probably 30 hotels. And, so there's ways to do this that are not necessarily, hitting up your friends and neighbors. Although, why wouldn't your friends and neighbors want a poinsettia? So I don't think this is going to be too tough. So we're going to do that. Plus, we're going to donate $1,500 to Polio Plus. And I know that we all just nod our heads and say, oh, yeah, that's the Rotary thing, the Polio Plus. And I thought about this because, in our budget, $1,500 is, again, a substantial amount of money. So, I didn't ponder it too long, but I really want to know, why are we doing this? And because I keep hearing that we're, right at the end of this. So at the International Convention, I was stirred to really want to do this because of what's been accomplished. And I've heard this. Mary made a really important, announcement every week at the meetings when she was president. But I just want to sum it up for you, to be reminded why we're giving to Polio Plus and why Rotary is so committed. In 1985, there were 350 children with polio. 350,000 children with, not 350, 350,000 children with polio in 1985. That wasn't that long ago. In 2017, there are 5. Rotary collaborated with the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So this goes to that collaboration. Remember that collaboration is one of the overarching goals of Rotary International. And that's why, when we do Strive, we bring in people from Normandale to help. When we do the Cheers for Charity, we've got Mall of America as a partner. We've got Pinky Swear. So again, collaborate with other organizations, collaborate out there to achieve the greatness that we can be. And that's why, this club is already demonstrating that. But it was due to Rotary's initiative to start this, that then all these other organizations fell in line. And this is incredible, 2.5 billion children have been vaccinated because of this. Because of Rotary, 2.5 billion children have been vaccinated. And in 88, there was 125 endemic countries. Now there's only 3, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Afghanistan. And again, keep in mind, only 5 kids so far in 2017. And so it's 99.9% eradicated. So I'm like, so why are we still giving to this? Well, what they've determined is that they need $1.5 billion to get to the finish line, because if we stop, it starts up again. And so at the Rotary International Convention, Don was there. I don't know who, I'm trying to think who else is here today that was at the convention. But it was one of the most moving things I'd ever been to. They had Bill Gates there speaking to us. They had representatives from the CDC and from the World Health Organization. They had people from different countries, and what they did is every time somebody got up and said, okay, we'll give 100 million, we'll give 50 million, we'll give 30 million, we'll give 150 million, and through this process, and of course they'd already had determined it in advance, but nonetheless, they got commitments on that stage at the convention for $1.2 billion between now and 2020 to get this to the finish line. And so if polio is not eradicated, if we stopped now, 200,000 children could be paralyzed within a decade. I mean, it would just spread that fast. And the fact that we're that close, and the new way, this is what, we're this close. And, think about Rotary eliminating a disease from our planet. I mean, is there some reason you wouldn't want to be a Rotarian? This is like incredible stuff that we're doing.
Can I clarify that first bullet, 350,000 with polio? Does that mean as like a new diagnosis and then 5 diagnosed in 17? Is that what that
Probably. Is that what it is? Okay.
It was 350,000 per year in 1985.
But that was as a diagnostic because
Right.
they could still.
Right, so there was probably millions that had it, right. We want to track the dollars and the time that we spend giving to the community, and Terry has volunteered to do this as well, so I'm grateful for that. And then we want to increase attendance at district training events, and when we get these invitations, we'll be reaching out and see if we can get more and more people involved with that. And then lastly, we're going to start something new, which is what would Hazel do? And now, of course, you don't know who Hazel is, but I want to introduce you to Hazel. This is Hazel. And Hazel is with us today because Hazel is donating the money to this initiative that we're starting this year, and will be ongoing throughout this year. So every third Monday of the month, we're going to be practicing what would Hazel do. Now I want to introduce you to Hazel in a different way.
My story is that I was 18 months old, and Mother and Dad had gotten the word that there was a little boy at the orphanage for them, because that's what they had applied for. And they went down to visit their friends and to go and get the baby boy. And they got down there, and as they were walking through the orphanage, I was sitting on the floor, and as they passed by, I get choked up every time I tell this story. And as they walked by, I looked up and said, "Daddy." And Daddy said to the administrator, "Well, that's the one I want." And he said, "Well, let's go in the office and talk." And he went in the office and talked, and they said that that child may not even live to see Christmas, and that you wanted the boy, and he's healthy and everything. And Dad said, "Nope, that's my child."
So this is my mother, who was adopted, as she said, in Mobile, Alabama. And I can imagine what that orphanage must have looked like. And she, the story continues, one of our neighbors said she has very long arms, her neighbor. And so the neighbor tells a story that Hazel, from the floor, reached up and patted Daddy Pat on the shoulder and said, "Daddy." So he couldn't resist. But I want to share then, and by the way, this is a story that I did something I hope all of you do. I brought both of my parents into a recording studio and recorded them telling stories. And so this is from my mom. But now I want to share her telling about my grandfather, because this is what we're going to be doing.
He was always doing something for somebody. Like when at his wake, that's what some teacher came up and told us, that when she came back to Anniston, that Daddy walked up and shook hands with her and left a $10 bill in her hand, because he knew that she came back and she didn't have any money. And he would go to the grocery store, the little neighborhood grocery store, and he'd say, Mr. Kaufman, he didn't call him Mr. Kaufman, I can't think of his first name. He said, I know that so-and-so's run up a bill here, and they don't have any money, but here's something toward their bill, and these are things that Mother heard after Daddy was gone. And she said, I wonder why he always had to have money in his pocket. And then he'd go to the drugstore, and he'd do the same thing at the drugstore. He'd know somebody would run up a bill, and he'd maybe pay $5 on it. And they didn't have that much money. He had this route after he retired. He'd get up and he'd go have coffee with the people that were still working up at the bus station. And then he would go back home. And then about 8 o'clock, he'd get back. I got to go to town. And he had this route. He'd go to the courthouse, and he'd go to the drugstore, and he'd go to these different places and everything and visit all these people. And Mother said that when she says, boy, I probably won't have anybody to go to my funeral. And I said, well, Mother, you better get a route like Daddy. But anyway, Mother and Daddy both were so good about doing for others. That was their life.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue the legacy of Hazel and my grandfather, Daddy Pat. And I've inherited some money from them, and so we're going to pay it forward in the community. Jim, can you help us?
Do you want me to just take it from here? Or?
Sure. So and you're going to explain the anniversary thing.
So Deb called me. I didn't know Deb all that well. I knew she was in this club, and she was kind of funny. And she was important. I think they can hear me.
No.
Oh.
And so I met her here in the bar, and she laid out this idea.
Fellowship, right?
Right. Yeah. After 6 or 7 drinks, she didn't do that. And I realized what all of you have realized sitting here that didn't know Deb that well is that she's pretty incredible. She does stuff that, without, making a big deal out of it. And so I agreed, yeah, I'm on board. I'll do whatever you want me to do. So here's what the deal is. The third Monday of every week, we're going to have a little 10-minute session, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to identify a number of people based on their anniversary in the club, and we're going to give each one of them a $100 bill. And then the next month, they're going to come back and tell us what they did with that $100. We're also going to have a little something to say about each one of those individuals that nobody else in the club knows about. So you're going to get an email or a call from me, and I'm going to say, look, you're coming up on this. So I need you to email me something or call me and tell me something about the club, something about yourself that the club doesn't know. So keep that in mind. Now we're starting out with the July anniversaries. We have 2 of them, Alex and Luann. And this is right down the alley of the Rotary, the whole Rotary year of making a difference. So what was interesting is I looked through this. This is what killed me. Is I looked through this because I've got all the anniversary dates now and realized that there are only 3 people above me that have been in this club longer than I have. You laugh, Dave said, it's because you're one of them. And Jim Lucas and Milo Ingolstadt. And no one's going to pass Milo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you something about both of the people that are out this week or this month, and then I'm going to give each one of them a $100 bill, which I've got right here. Crisp $100 bills that I looked at them so I know that they're real. And we're going to do this every month. So first one I'm going to do is Alex. And I didn't know what to expect with this kind of thing. I thought, you know, what are they going to come up with? And both of them came up with something really, really cool. So I got an email from Alex over the weekend, and it kind of brought a tear to my eye, because Alex told me that he is very, God, I'm tearing up now thinking about it. He's very proud and happy to be raising an autistic son. Now, I didn't know that, and I don't think anybody else in here knew it. What's his name? Jake. So I'm thinking, man, you know, these people in this club are like way cooler than I ever thought they were. So why don't you come up here and get your $100 bill, and thank you for sharing that with us, Alex. I think that's pretty incredible. This one doesn't make me cry. It makes me happy, actually. That makes me happy too, though, Alex. So Luann is like, she's going, I don't know what to tell you. Then she says the computer isn't working, so how am I supposed to, you know, you have a phone, Luann, you know, you can call and tell me, you know. And, you know, so finally she sent me an email this morning, like at 11, no, I'm kidding. No. And this is what she told me. She said, you probably knew that I like golf, I play golf, I watch golf and everything. She said, but you probably didn't know that I was a die-hard basketball fan. And I played basketball. And back when she played basketball, she was in a town, the small towns in Iowa had basketball teams, but the big ones didn't, right?
Right.
And she was in a big town, but I guess a big town in Iowa is an oxymoron. But she and her friends that were in high school went to the city and got them to okay, or city or the high school.
We were in junior high.
Right, junior high.
And went to the city and the school board.
And they convinced them.
Got it in high school.
They got a basketball team, and this was back when there were 6 people on a girls' basketball team in high school. 3 that played offense and 3 that played defense. They didn't go across that middle line. Now I knew that, and I know Dave knew that because we've talked about that. But that's very cool. And I invited her to play with us on Thursday afternoons, but she declined. So Luann, come up and get your $100 bill.
It's just like, Jim, it's just the way you play basketball too.
I play one hand too. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to share with you real quick, what we're doing here is we're paying it forward. And it's for you to witness somebody that has a need. I will tell you, I've done this in my office like 3 different times, and the stories are pretty profound, what people do with this $100. I mean, I've had people there was a woman who was in breakfast on University Avenue when that was all torn up, and she overheard the waitress saying, well, I don't have any Christmas plans because the business has been so slow here, so, you know, and so she put the $100 in with the check. So, you know, I mean, it can be things like that. It can be, I've other stories where my cousin just lost her job. They've got, you know, 3 kids, those kinds of things, and you know, somebody walking up and giving them $100 is significant. Or you just do it to a perfect stranger. So it's yours to do with. I'd prefer you not necessarily give it to an organization. I'd prefer it kind of go like my Daddy Pat did, and hand it to somebody that you'll see how significant it is in their life. And we're just going to see what kind of stories we come up with. And so you have a month to pay it forward. That's what we're doing. We're paying this forward. So,
Deb, can I just
yep.
say who are the next ones, just so
Sure.
you can keep it in mind? Ted Angelo, Phil Ruzzi, Andrea Specht, Diane Kirby, Jim Waldvogel, and Debbie Belfry, which was supposed to be this month, but she's brand new, so we're going to add her to next month. So that means 2 things, that you have to attend that meeting and you have to respond to my emails.
Yes, thank you. Or you could actually pick up.
I get to keep the $100.
Yeah, or you can pick up the phone. That's what we're going to do. And that's going to be our 3rd Monday meeting. Because after a while, it's going to be like a big meeting where people telling stories and getting recognized in this way. So we're going to get to know each other. That goes to the whole fellowship thing. that we're doing this month. I want to end with a Mother Teresa quote, which I said that I would do each week. And this one I thought was very fitting relative to what Jim just mentioned. Your true character is most accurately measured by how you treat those who can do nothing for you. Go out and make a difference.